Welcome to another episode of Jax the Messenger. I'm your host, Jax the Messenger. Episode 2. It's been a while, it's been a minute, and we're going to talk about that, or we're going to discuss why it's been so long. The other day when I made the decision that I was going to continue on with the show, it was never my intentions to record an episode and create the social media pages and disappear, right? Life happened, but we're going to get into that. But when the other day, when I was looking at, getting things back in order, everything that goes along with podcasting, and I was trying to pick up where I left off and looking at different folders, I realized that it's been over a year since the first episode. So I dropped the episode, disappeared for a year, right? And I can explain. I can explain. So when I started this podcast, I had the vision in mind that this was going to be for men's mental health, and that's what we're going on. But after the first episode, the show was going to take a different direction, still with the same concept, but I was going to have a co-host. We decided to change the name and just changing all the layout a little bit. And we're going to incorporate visual, and for one reason or the other, things just didn't pan out that way. And so it just took some time to set up or to change everything. And that was taking time to get things right. And when we decided not to go that direction, it was taking time to just convert everything back and then explain to everybody, hey, this was a small delay, but we're changing things up. And as I'm getting ready to do that, my wife gets pregnant. And this is our first child. So it was a lot to deal with, just figuring out our lives and figuring out what that looks like on top of our careers and businesses. And it wasn't the smoothest pregnancy, so took that took me away from other projects. Eventually, we ended up losing the baby, and that changed my life. I still have days where it can be painful. My wife has days, and as a husband, I try to show up for her, right? And I try to be there for her. So during with the loss of what could have been our first child, planning gender reveals and dealing with different things in the family, it was a lot. Dealing with the loss, because it happened right before Thanksgiving. Now, we were supposed to go on a family trip. My wife's family, they go on a family trip every year. And once we found out that we're pregnant, my wife and I had a conversation, and we decided that maybe it wouldn't be best to go on this Thanksgiving trip. Little did we know that we were going to end. Thank God that we made a decision, because with the complications that she had, we couldn't imagine dealing with that in a foreign country, right? So it happened right before Thanksgiving, and of course, our families are shattered, and they're debating if they should still go on the trip or not. And my wife just kind of needed space. We needed space to be just us for a little bit before, family came over and got that support. We just wanted to be in our bubble for a little bit. And they went on a trip. Needless to say, they didn't enjoy themselves as much because everybody is crying and sad and dealing with that. But it was a heart-wrenching experience. And it wasn't until later on that my wife pointed out that I really haven't dealt with my feelings and my emotions of the loss, right? It would come out in different ways, um, different outbursts, different frustrations, um, agitation. Because I was trying to be there for my wife, so I didn't have time to slow down. Life, and that's the thing. No matter what happens, life still goes on, right? I still had to be an entrepreneur. I still had to. I was in the cuffs of growing within my professional career. I still had to deal with that. Um, so many of the things that we still have to deal with, right? Don't get me wrong, we took some time, but how much time is enough? So I had to keep going. I had to keep going, and I had to be there for my wife. And, she has her moments, she breaks down, and I'm trying to be a crutch to her, and I don't have time to just soak in my feelings. So when we would talk about certain things, some emotion would come out, but I wasn't dealing with it properly. It wasn't until my wife begin to heal, she looked at me and says, "You're not healing properly. You need to talk to me." And even dealing with that was a lot for me. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I'm all the way am dealing with things correctly. Um, and that's with keeping myself busy. I'm showing up for other people and not really taking the time to deal with certain things. But I've gotten better thanks to the support of my wife. But those emotions, right? Dealing with that, dealing with a loss, um, you gain a new perspective on life, and you start to look at the people around you. You start to look at yourself. You start to appreciate life differently. And one of the things that I dealt with, and I know my wife dealt with this, um, and on her side of things, and she has a platform now, so I'm sure she'll speak on this on her platform. Um, she has a platform. She does uh, Instagram, TikTok videos, trial and error, baking with Jesus. That's her platform, and she talks a lot about different things like vulnerability. But one of the things that we had to deal with is realizing who shows up for you. And this sucks when you're in a vulnerable state or in a down state and realizing that people you love, people you care about are not showing up for you, right? That just adds to the pain and it adds to the frustration. You just realize certain things. So when you're, I'm sorry, y'all, some of this stuff you can tell is still fresh. Um, while it's been a year since I've recorded an episode, it hasn't been a year since the loss and since we've dealt with certain things. So this is still kind of fresh. I'm still talking about this in real time, right? But when you realize who don't show up for you, you appreciate the ones that do. Even if it's not the way that you would like them to show up for you, appreciate people who just show up in the ways they know how, right? Because we all have this preconceived notion of this is what I would have done, this is what I prefer. And again, sometimes you have to teach people how to treat you, but the ones that are trying, those that make an effort, no matter what that looks like in their world, at their capacity of understanding or whatever their limitation is for showing up for you, just appreciate that because they could have very well just not show up for you. So just appreciate those that show up for you. Um, this loss has definitely tested um my marriage, but it's made us stronger. We're closer than we've ever been. We have a sense of intimacy that we thought we had, but it drew us closer to each other. This experience has drawn us closer to God. Um, we've gotten closer. We've dealt more into our spirituality, not just as individuals, but as a couple, and realizing that we are a team. Not that we didn't realize that before, but now you in the field. Now you in the trenches. Dating is cool. Relationship is cool, but marriage, that's the final exam right there, right? It's a non-ending final exam. And we gained clarity that we made the right decision by marrying each other, and we've made more time for each other and appreciate each other because we're both hustlers, we're both go-getters. We both have different things going on separately and together. And sometimes, it gets pretty busy, especially for me. We get pretty busy. And this has forced us to carve out the time for each other and realizing that, hey, you're still newlyweds and you need to make time for each other. And no matter how much you love each other, you still need to have that time. And this kind of forces us to do that. But I want to talk more so about things from a man's perspective, right? Being, not even being told, but just the role we take on as men, being protectors, providers, being the strong one and showing up. You never know how strong you are until your back is up against the wall. One of my fears, if I'm being honest, when I got married was, I was so into what I got going on for a long time. One of my fears was, would I be able to show up for my wife in the way she needs me to? And I did. And she let me know that I did, whether it's hospital visits, tests, whatever the case may be. I'm just being there, taking calls that she didn't want to take, texting people that she didn't want to text with family, just filling that gap for her. And I didn't have a plan. I just sprung into action. But guys, we have to deal with our stuff. We have to prioritize with dealing with our stuff. When traumatic life events happen, we can't just continue on as if that's life. And that was not my mentality, but what I tried to tell myself, this is life. It's painful. We move on. You have to be mentally there for yourself before you can be mentally there for anybody else. Because trust me, that frustration will show out in a different way. It'll affect your relationships. It'll affect your job. It'll affect your performance and everything that you do because you have some undealt with emotions. And I understand why you can be quick to anger somebody somebody skip you in line or road rage because you have some suppressed emotions that you're not dealing with. You're angry. I was angry for a long time. I look forward to being a father. I wanted to be a father. I want to be a father. And it was devastating. But when I want to cry, I'm looking at my crying wife and I got to tell her it's okay. And while the tears may flow, but I'm there for her, I'm got to tell her it's okay and I'm not dealing with mine. And then we have family members who are more broken than you. Instead of them giving you support, you giving them support. And this is real life. This is what happens. We're not dealing with it. Take your time. Take a day for yourself every once in a while and just allow yourself to think. For me, I like to read my word, do different things. And being a workaholic, which is another unhealthy thing we'll discuss later, One of the things that I found, fellas, to assist and help is finding a hobby. A hobby helps, whether you realize it or not. That mindless activity allows your mind to flow freely, and you're not concentrated on life. And that allows you the space and the break you need to come back and regroup and be a better self. Find a hobby. I highly recommend you find a hobby. If you want, and don't think that you don't have time for that and you have to do this. No, part of the road to success is taking time for yourself. Part of the road to success is getting rest. Part of the road to success is dealing with your stuff. And that's been my life lately. And that's why you guys haven't heard from me in a year. But we're back, and we're going to be more consistent moving forward. But I had to deal with life, and still dealing with life. And that's what this show's about. That's what this space is about. Understanding comfort, and thirdly, for myself, understanding the comfort that we need and going through it when you don't even know you're going through it. This has led me to deal with traumas that I've had for years. For years. Last episode, I talked about how, dealing with life. I had not dealt with losing 10 people in a year during COVID. I had never dealt with that. Dealing with life's trauma, everything else. There's a lot I haven't dealt with, and it all came pouring on when I lost a child. It all bubbled up, and by the grace of God, I didn't crash out to a point of no return. So I had to get my mind right, had to get myself right, and we still working on it. It's an ongoing progress, and we'll get deeper as episodes go on. But I just felt like I owed you all an explanation, so I allowed you all to be in my business for a little while, and I'll continue to let you guys in my business as we heal and figure out ways to heal together as a community. Until next time, keep the crown on you.